buy this, not that, big box plant shopping edition. So today's going to be a little bit of a different video. I'm going to go to Home Depot and Lowe's, and I'm going to share what plants I tend to stay away from and what plants I would get instead. So I'm going to share all the reasons why, and then what plant I would get instead, and the prices for everything, and why I would buy those other plants, and what are my credentials. Well, I don't have any, other than the fact I've been collecting for a long time, and there have been different points where I've had like well over 300 houseplants in my collection, and I've not always been the best plant mom, admittedly. So what that means is I've put a lot of my plants through the ringer, and I can kind of tell which ones can handle, you know, being lower maintenance than others. So there you have it, and I hope this is helpful, and if you're new, welcome. My name's Ashley. I'm a crazy plant lady, so feel free to subscribe if you like plant stuff in your newsfeed. And we also have a great community on TikTok, Instagram, and now on Facebook. And feel free, please, to leave in the comments what plants you love, kind of what plants you stay away from, what plants you recommend instead. It's really helpful not just to myself, but to all of our awesome plant friends in our community. So with that said, I hope this is helpful, and I'm really excited to share some of these awesome plants with you. All right, so I'm at Home Depot, and I'm gonna go through pointing again out the plants that I would typically stay away from, whether it be because they're hard to care for or they get a lot of pests, usually, and what I would suggest instead of. Now, again, remember, this is all super subjective, and we all like different plants, and all plants are awesome. And also note, this doesn't take into account pet-friendly plants, so just keep that in mind. So first up is ivy. I see so many different varieties of ivy. When I first started collecting, I just thought it was so beautiful, and I still think it's one of the most beautiful houseplants, and it's very popular because we see them in all of the different plant shops. Now this one is $4.98, and you'll see big hanging baskets of it for $16, $20. However, ivy is really prone to spider mites. A lot of the plants that I'll mention today that I tend to stay away from, one of the main reasons is because they tend to be spider mite prone. And maybe somebody else who's smarter than me can explain why some plants tend to be just really prone to spider mites. But this is one of those. Now, there are other plants that I would suggest instead of ivy. Ivy is pet friendly. If you're looking for a pet friendly alternative, maybe go with something like a Fittonia. Now, Fittonias have a reputation for being fairly dramatic, but they're actually really easy to care for. They're not predisposed to certain pests like ivy is. The only thing that they are fussy about is periods of drought. So they'll do what's called the Fittonia flop, where they'll just flop over and look really like thin, like they've died. As soon as you give that plant a drink, it'll come right back to life. This one's also $4.98, and I love that you can get different colors of these. You can get pink ones. They really are terrific plants. And if you're an underwaterer and your plants go dried out for periods of times, just go for like a self-watering pot or something like that, where you don't have to stay so on top of it. And a lot of people like to put their plants in leca or even grow their plants in water. And I don't know how Fittonia does with that kind of treatment, but these are great. Another great alternative to ivy would be a pothos. Now, pothos aren't necessarily pet friendly, but they are beautiful. They're very easy to care for. Any kind of vining pothos, epipremnum, or philodendron is going to be a great alternative. And they have a few different options here. These are $16.98. They're absolutely beautiful. They are great to propagate if you want to make new plants. They're not prone to, you know, different types of pests like the ivy are. I mean, there's a reason why pothos are some of the most popular houseplants. So they have crotons here. This is a very popular houseplant coming into fall. $16.98, but you do see them year round, especially at the big box shops, and I mean, when I first started collecting, it was one of the plants that like first caught my eye, because how can it not? Like, look at the beautiful foliage. And there are usually a few different varieties of crotons that you'll see at big box shops. This one's $12.98. You can see here, I'll pull it out so you can have a little bit of a better look. And here's some smaller ones. These are $4.98. Now, the problem with crotons is they're also spider mite prone, which is very unfortunate because they're so beautiful. So if you're looking for something that has that bright foliage, maybe go for something like an Aglaonema. Aglaonemas, we're seeing more and more varieties being released on the market, and they're not expensive, $16.98, and they're, in my experience, easy to care for. They're not high maintenance, and I love this one with the pink stems. The other thing I've noticed about crotons is they really enjoy very high amounts of light, which sometimes we can't give them, where Aglaonemas will be more tolerant of not having that bright light all day. Now, if lighting isn't a condition for you and you just love the pink leaves and the variegated leaves, you could go for something like a rubber tree or a ficus like this. This one is a Tinacae, then this one is ruby, and there are a lot of nice options. These do enjoy like bright light throughout the day, and they're absolutely stunning, and they're not specifically prone to any kind of pests like the crotons are. Again, I'm just going based off of the plants that they have here at Home Depot and kind of what I would stay away from and what to get instead. Another option are some of these really beautifully colored philodendrons. We're seeing so many fun varieties coming out. Now, I don't see a lot of options at this particular big box shop, but there are tons of them, like pink princess philodendrons with the bright variegated leaves. You could go for something like this. This is like the sun red philodendron if you're getting the croton for like the beautiful red leaves. And philodendrons are absolutely fabulous houseplants. The next one that I struggle with personally are ferns. They typically cannot experience any period of drought. And even though I say that, it really depends what kind of fern you have. So like for instance, this type of fern, just looking at it, I know it's not going to be able to experience drought for any period of time. This one is $4.98. They drop leaves, they get crispy. Here's another one that I would probably struggle with. I think this is a lemon button. Cute as a button fern. It's so cute, but I just wouldn't be able to stay on top of watering, and I know it would drop leaves. As I mentioned, it depends what variety of fern. Now, if you're looking for something that is going to be less fussy, there are options, and I really only see one option here right now, and that's going to be this hurricane bird's nest fern. Bird's nest ferns can experience periods of drought. Their leaves are thicker, so they manage to store some of the water in their leaves as opposed to other ferns. This one's 19, and it's so cute. There's lots of different bird's nest varieties. The other ones I would recommend are rabbitfoot fern and blue star fern. I've had all three of these in my collection, and all three of them have been really easy. I probably should have started with Calathea. Calathea are very, very popular houseplants, mainly because of their beautiful foliage. This one here is called a Calathea medallion, and I've tried this plant numerous times in my collection, and I have struggled with them, unfortunately. Here's another variety of Calathea. Oh, wow. Looks like they might even have like a white fusion or some fun variegated variety in here. Let's take a look. Yeah, so this one looks like it has some fun variegation on it. That's a good find. However, Calathea are very fussy in that they crisp up, they enjoy a ton of humidity, and they also can't experience periods of drought. Some of them are spider mite prone. They are pet friendly though, so that's important to keep in mind. But again, unless you're really on the up and up with plant care, knowing what to do, I would advise staying away and going with something a little easier. For instance, a peace lily. There are variegated peace lilies on the market now, and peace lilies are so great. They will let you know when they're thirsty. They're really easy to care for. Another good option is the Aglaonema. It has really, really distinct, beautiful leaves. These are not pet friendly, but if you're more focused on a plant that's not going to get pests, you're not worried about being pet friendly, this is a great option. You could also go for Dieffenbachia. Also not pet friendly, but absolutely beautiful leaves. Easier care than the Calathea. They're not going to give you trouble so much about humidity. So here's a really beautiful Epischia, and I do really like this plant. It's so pretty. I like all of these plants. For some reason, I just cannot get the hang of it. It feels like they crisp up so easily. They drop leaves. They do require some TLC. This one's nice. I like the blooms. It's $16. But if you were to struggle with one of these, You could instead go with their cousin, the African violets. I love African violets. I have mine in self-watering pots and they thrive. These are $3.98, all different colors, and I just find them to be easier to care for, and these are pet friendly. So the next plant I see here that I would probably veer away from, and it's this alocasia. Now it's beautiful. This is called an alocasia cucullata. They have it on sale here, and it's $29.98. But alocasia in general as houseplants are very prone to spider mites and pests, but specifically spider mites. And I can actually see that this one has some spider mites. So here you can see the little cobwebbing on the end of that leaf. That is definitely spider mites. And also here you can see the cobwebbing. And this is just so typical of alocasias. It's their MO, unfortunately. Now, should this deter you from ever adding alocasias to your collection? Absolutely not. You just want to make sure you're on top of pest prevention. The first step of pest prevention is checking in the store. So I would absolutely not bring this plant home, no matter how much I love it. But if they had another one that looked really healthy, I noticed that I didn't see any cobwebbing, what I would do is when I bring it home, I would give it systemic granules in the soil, and then I would treat it with insecticidal soap, and I would just regularly do that, plus quarantining the plant. And so if you love alocasia, stick with it. I still have plenty of alocasia in my collection. I'm just really careful about making sure I stay on top of treatment. However, instead of alocasia, there are some other options. So if you like that arrow shape to the leaves of the alocasia, maybe go with a syngonium. These are absolutely wonderful plants. They're not fussy. I find they're just great. There's so many cool varieties of them, all different colors. And I think this one is $4.98. Absolutely beautiful. I love syngonium. Here's another cute syngonium I found. It's one of my favorites, and it's called a confetti syngonium, and it just has beautiful pink spots on the leaves, and I'm seeing them more and more at big box shops. Sometimes they're mislabeled as Snow White, but lately I've been seeing them in these like H2O bowl pots, and they are really great. Another suggestion is that a lot of the philodendrons will have like an alocasia leaf shape. So this is called a philodendron beatier. Here you can see the name of it. It's misspelled, but that's okay. And this was actually a really rare plant for a super long time. I think I paid $150 for mine, and now we're seeing them at big box shops. So any kind of philodendron, syngonium would be a great alternative to an alocasia. Here's another alternative to alocasia. You could go with something like an anthurium. These have the beautiful, heart-shaped or triangular-shaped leaves, but they're not prone to spider mites, and they have beautiful blooms. And these are $11.98. This is a Tradescantia. This is a small one. It's $4.98 or $5.98. And you see a lot of these at big box shops. You'll see like big baskets of Tradescantia. I'm sure I'll find some more at the next spot, and I'll show you some alternatives there. But Tradescantia do great as outdoor plants, and in my experience they need a ton of light, they like a lot of heat, they like a lot of humidity, and it's probably just me, but in my care they really struggle. They will lose a lot of leaves, like you can see this one's losing some leaves and crisping up. They just can be a bit fussy. So based on the plants I see here, what I would offer as an alternative to the Tradescantia are perhaps a Hoya. This is an absolutely beautiful Hoya. They make great hanging baskets, especially this one, which is a variegated Wyetii, $5.98. That's such a steal. I'm seeing a lot of Hoya varieties on the market now. Like a lot more cool varieties than I've seen ever before at big box shops, especially. $5.98 on this one. It says teacup anemone, but it's a Hoya ficii, and there's so many great ones. And Hoya are pet friendly, and they're very easy to care for. They're very drought tolerant. They store a lot of water in their leaves, and they also bloom, which is really nice. So if you're looking for a plant that blooms, I think that Hoya would be perfect addition to the collection. Another alternative to a Chattiscantia would be a spider plant. You can see a big one up here, and there are lots of different spider plant varieties. There's some more on the other side that have variegation, but these are in fact pet friendly. They're mild hallucinogen for cats, so if you see your cat munching on one, that might be why. Just having a grand old time. But they have like a similar shape to some of the Chattiscantia varieties, and they're very easy to care for. Here's another one. This one is a smaller one, $12.98. They also will put off little pups, and it makes them very easy to propagate. This is a red maranta. You can also see like lemon marantas, lemon lime marantas. And they're also called prayer plants because their leaves move up and down depending on the time of day, like praying hands. This one is $16.98, and they're really great. Like, don't get me wrong, I love these plants. I don't think that they're overly difficult, but I have had my challenging days with the marantas, so if you're the same, here's what I'd offer as an alternative. Again, I'd go in with some kind of pothos or philodendron that has the beautiful like variegation on the leaves, because that's one of the neat things about the maranta is the just the design on the leaves. It's so beautiful, very similar to Calatheas. And you can find pothos varieties that have a lot of beautiful colors, or even a philodendron varieties that have beautiful colors. The next one I've personally struggled with a lot is this particular type of Peperomia, where it has this shaped leaves. It usually has the little ruffles, and you can get them in all different colors. This one's $4.98. I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's a Russo or a Frosted or something, but I don't know why this particular one I seem to struggle with. I can't seem to get the watering right. It's not prone to pests, but it's just so picky with like lighting, watering. The leaves will drop off, they'll crisp up. I find they get root rot really easily. So if you're looking for a Peperomia, because Peperomias are great plants, I wouldn't veer away from all of them. And they're also pet friendly. Instead of this type of Peperomia, I would get something like a Peperomia obtusifolia. Now this is a solid green one. They have marble ones, variegated ones. This one's $5.98, and these are so great and easy. See, here's another one. Like, see how this is a different color, but it's in general looks the same as the first Peperomia. Like, I'm to the point now where I just stay away from these, unfortunately. I think this one is another obtusifolia. You see how it has the beautiful color on there. It's going to be pet friendly, and I don't have a lot of experience with this one. I know this is another Peperomia. It looks very succulent-y to me, so I can't speak to it because I have not added it to my collection before. But here are some more Peperomias. These are great, going to be much easier in my experience to take care of. Now, if you struggle with ficus losing or dropping their leaves, it could be a lighting issue, a watering issue. These are great plants, especially the Benjaminas. They're absolutely wonderful. However, ficus can be known to be somewhat fussy at times, drop their leaves, that kind of thing. So if that's an issue, instead of this, you could always get a ZZ plant. These are absolutely fabulous plants. This one here is $36, but I can find them a lot for much less expensive than that. And as many in the plant community know, ZZs are just like some of the easiest houseplants. They can handle low light conditions. They have beautiful foliage. They come in all different colors. There's like Raven ZZs, which are like a black color, Chameleon ZZs, which have like a light green variegation. ZZ plants are great. These are Majesty palms. They're very popular houseplants. They're great because they're pet friendly. However, they are extremely spider mite prone. I mean, in my experience, very spider mite prone. So instead of this, you could go with like a ponytail palm. This one's in a little bit of rough shape, but it's a huge one. Here's a smaller ponytail palms. These are pet friendly as well, which is great, and they're not as prone to spider mites. There's another ponytail palm down there. You could even go with like a money tree. These are also pet friendly and in my experience, not prone to spider mites, and they're easy care. These are $30 for the big money trees. Another option would be Dracaena, which is not pet friendly, but they're so beautiful. Yeah, Dracaena varieties are great. These are $12.88 for these Dracaena here. Here we have this plant. It's called an elephant bush. This one is called string of hooks or string of bananas. These are fabulous succulent varieties, but they can be a little tricky, especially if you're just starting out. So instead of getting one of these, I would recommend getting something like this, which is called a ripsalis, and there are lots and lots of different ripsalis varieties. This is one of the only ones here. I have had a lot of success with ripsalis. They're so much easier. They still fall into that succulent or cactus variety, but they're just so easy. These are $7.98. I would definitely recommend ripsalis over some of these other succulents that I think a lot of people do struggle with. Now again, succulents are in general supposed to be very easy care, and they are if you know exactly what to do, but I know a lot of people do in fact struggle with them, myself included. I've been on the succulent struggle bus before, so zero judgment. An alternative would be, if you would like a little succulent for your office or something, or for your home, go with a little snake plant variety. It looks just like a succulent, but it's just going to be so much easier in my experience. You know, give it water like what, once a month, once every few weeks during the growing season, and they're great. This one in particular is called a samurai snake plant, which is great. These are Haworthia. These are really easy succulents as well. I think this one is called like a Mikado or a fernwood snake plant. Here's another snake plant variety back here. So snake plants in general are some of the easiest houseplants ever. So if you're struggling with succulents, and the reason why you're choosing succulents is because they're easy care, go with snake plants. I just think they're going to be so much easier for you. All right, now I'm at Lowe's, and let's see what they have for plants here. All right, they have alocasia varieties. They have silver dragon, and they have this one over here. Now, I actually really like the silver dragon alocasia. Mine, I don't know, I just found it was more resilient to spider mites than some of the other varieties I've had. But let me look here. What I would get here instead of the alocasia. Here's another alocasia variety as well. The Poly or Amazonica, which are beautiful. They have a lot of alocasia varieties. Here's another one. You know, these look really healthy. Again, I wouldn't like 100% not get them. I would just stay on top of it. Again, you could go with the Syngonium instead, which is going to be way easier. I mean, Monstera deliciosa, that's also a great one. This one's not fenestrating yet, but Monstera deliciosa, great plant, loved by the plant community, would be a good alternative to an alocasia. So here's another one I've struggled with. It's called a waffle plant, and you'll see them a lot at big box shops. They're not drought tolerant. They will crisp up on you. You can instead go for something like this. This is a Pearls and Jade Epipremnum or Pothos. This one is listed for $16, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it has the pretty variegation. It's not purple like the waffle plant, but it's a really fabulous easy care houseplant. Here we have some more fern varieties that I would probably avoid just because the leaves are so thin, and I feel like they would really struggle with any kind of underwatering. However, this fern is great. It's called a blue star fern. I've had a lot of success with this type of fern. It can handle periods of drought, and I just love those blue leaves. This is a strawberry begonia. It's not actually a begonia. I also have like variegated ones of these. I've had them quite a few times in my collection, and none of them have made it. So instead of this, I would go with some sort of philodendron would be great. Something like this. This is a philodendron Brazil. It has beautiful variegation. This one's 23. Or even something like this, beautiful Fittonia. Look at the size of those leaves. Again, this Fittonia, they are dramatic if they're not watered, but instead of like crisping up so quickly like these will, it'll just flop. Literally any of these would be great. The neon pothos, the philodendron green heartleaf. These are all so cool. Let me see if there's a price. $16 for these. This looks like it might be a neon marble queen, a golden pothos, a philodendron Brazil. Now, bird of paradise are super, super popular, and they're great houseplants, but they can be demanding of needing a lot of light to thrive. So you know, if you're struggling with your bird of paradise, maybe, but you want like a big tropical tree in your home, go with maybe like a fiddle leaf fig. I know these have a reputation for being finicky, but I can only go off of my personal experience. And in my personal experience, these plants are great, and you can get really large ones. You just want to make sure you're watering them when the soil is about halfway dry, and these do enjoy a lot of light as well. So you just want to make sure that you have them by a window or good supplemental lighting or grow lights as needed, and they'll do really well for you. Another option would be a big money tree. This one's $35. Or even a big Monstera deliciosa, which I don't see any Monstera deliciosa here. Again, I see lots of different ivy varieties here, and what I would get at this store instead of the ivy, I would go for something like this Baltic blue pothos. Like, it looks similar, it has the like cool shape of the leaves, but it's going to be much easier because it is in fact a pothos or Peperomia. Here's another good option, which is this Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. This is a really great fast growing plant, $20, and it has that cool shape to the leaves like what you'll see with ivy as well. Also, if you like the silvery color of this alocasia, you could always go with something like this, which is a Trubii scindapsus moonlight, and it has that silvery blue on the leaves. They have Maranta here, which I mentioned before. They're a great plant, but they can be sometimes a little demanding. So instead of that, maybe consider Scindapsus variety. Like, this is a beautiful Scindapsus. If you like the Maranta because of the beautiful design on the leaves, this also has that same intriguing quality, but this is going to be so easy to take care of. It literally needs nothing. It can just hang out wherever, as long as it has some light, and just water it when the soil gets dry, and it'll be so easy to take care of. I know I'm on and on about how great pothos are, and they really are. Really, one of the only pothos that I personally stay away from is a Cebu blue pothos. I don't know why. I'm just being honest. I really struggle with Cebu blue. I've had numerous ones in my collection, but I don't know. I just can't seem to get the hang of them. Again, instead of the Cebu blue, you could go for a Baltic blue, which is literally just like the Cebu blue. It fenestrates earlier. It has a little bit of a darker leaf shape. The Trubii scindapsus moonlight, the Rhaphidophora, all great plants. The Scindapsus that I just shared would be perfect. They even have a Philodendron micans here, which is so lovely and velvety. I love this plant. I was just looking at this alocasia again, and instead of this one, I would go with this one any day of the week, because the snake plant's going to be so much easier to take care of. It's just one of the best plants, and it's really beautiful in the pot. Another plant that I would totally stay away from is the sago palm. It's really not a care or pest issue. It's just that they're so incredibly poisonous to animals, people. I mean, they're just so poisonous, and they do tend to, like, the leaves will brown up a bit sometimes. So there are a million other plants I think that I would get instead of this one. Here's a Dracaena. Ponytail palms are super cute. Yeah, if you like the look of the sago palm because it's a palm, always go with a ponytail palm instead. Again, the crotons, as I mentioned, they're very prone to spider mites, and a lot of people buy them because of the beautiful color of the foliage. They have some other alternative options here. First being Rex begonia. Rex begonias sometimes can get a reputation for being tricky, but in my experience, they're actually really easy. You just want to water them when the soil is about halfway to fully dry, and you want to give them like medium to bright light, and they are great. And there's so many cool varieties. I really love them. You could also go with bromeliads. There are so many colorful, beautiful bromeliad varieties. I'm trying to see if they have any, like, these are flowering, but it looks like it's lost some of its color, but the color can be so vibrant and stunning. I did mention Epischia before. They have some more of them here, and there are different Epischia varieties. They are beautiful, but in my experience, they can be a little bit on the like higher maintenance side of plant care. And if you like the Epischias because of the blooms they have, maybe go for something like a lipstick plant. This one is called a red elf lipstick plant, and lipstick plants are amazing. and they have really beautiful blooms, and they're very, very easy to take care of. I literally put mine somewhere and I give it some water and it's good to go. They do appreciate like bright and direct light. Also Hoya, they have Hoya here. This lipstick plant is $20.98. These Hoyas are $16.98, and Hoyas also put out really beautiful blooms. We've talked about some of the plants that have like the bluish, silverish like tint to the leaves, and this is one of the easy ones that I would recommend, and it is the Peperomia amplissumum with the really long, it's also known as the silver stripe pothos. Again, along the lines of if you are struggling with succulents and you're not sure what to get, other than the ones I mentioned during the Home Depot portion, I do find that jade plants are incredibly easy. Like, absolutely love these as houseplants. And they live forever. You can hand them down to family. You can propagate them easily and like give them as gifts. They can grow really big. Like, I just love them. All right, I hope that was helpful. Feel free to leave in the comments again which plants you stay away from, and then which plants you like to have in your collection and the reasons why. You know, not just for myself, but for everyone else in the plant community, our awesome plant community. And if you want to see future planty videos in your newsfeed, make sure to subscribe. We also have a wonderful community, as I always say, on our TikTok, Instagram, and now on Facebook. So I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of the day, and I get to see you soon. Bye.